Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome back. We're at the weekly races. This is August week 1 and it's the Neo Classics. Neo Classics race is one of those that a lot of people find particularly difficult. It's about finding the right car and the right approach. The game has changed slightly with the update 1.49, so the usual cars are going to do it, but they need a different type of setup, and we wonder if we can actually use a different type of tyre to try and steady the car down. So let's take a look at the setup and see which way we're going to go. Today we're going to be using the Escudo Suzuki Pikes Peak 98. Settings are going to be racing mediums. We're coming in at 799.46 pp against a target of 800. This car has 1186 brake horsepower and we're going to use as much of that as we possibly can. The car is a full-blown race car, so a lot of the parts you can't purchase, they come standard on the car. So fully customizable suspension is as thus default, no changes. Fully customizable diff, no changes. We have the front rear torque distribution, torque vectoring center differential set to 50-50. We can move that about if we feel that the tyre wear is a bit excessive, so let's focus on that in the race. Downforce has been tuned to meet the PP, so 336 on the front, 622 in the rear, and don't worry, we're going to go to the auto shop in a moment and we'll show you what we've got on. Fully customizable ECU, all of the beans at 100, no restrictions on the power restrictor. That balance positioning was there to just do some messing around, see if weight could help with transfer, but as it is, 0 on the ballast positioning and no ballast requires. The racing transmission set to 350. You can't really use the manual, but you'll gain some PP if you want to try and use soft tyres and do a one-stop. That's up to you. Turbocharger, we're going to use the high RPM turbocharger. That's going to make fuel usage critical, so we'll have to watch how we drive, and we'll show you that technique as we go through the race. There are no other adds, everything else as is. We have the brake controller and we can move about the brake and positioning as we require. So down in GT Auto, not a lot else to change. I mean, everything else is greyed out, so there's nothing to choose from. You can change wheels if you like. That's up to you. These are events that come through the normal race calendar. This is not a special event, so this one will apply also to regular races. It's at Great Willow, Big Willow as they say. It's an 800 pp target or less. The car has to be at least 1980s. So these will be the historic GT1s, CR2s, that kind of thing. And they have to be 1999 or less. Quite a few cars that fit that bill. See some examples there. Get to the race. Welcome to Willow Springs. It's one of the tracks I find extremely hard because of the lack of visual markers to identify where you are on the track and the turning points. If you get it wrong, you can be out in the boondocks quite easily. Settings, assists, I'm going to be using traction control 1, default ABS and counter steer assistance on strong. Controller settings, I'm on a Fanatec DD Plus using the GT Extreme wheel. Force feedback max torque 7, force feedback sensitivity 10. Now, the Neo Classics are really good races, but you have to try and work out that strategy. Let's talk through the strategy as we go through the race. It's 10 laps with a rolling start and we're going to start in the last place. Right, we're going to look like we're fuel saving, but we're not going to. We're going to attempt this race with a one stop for fuel. We're going to hide the fact that we're going to try and save fuel. We're going to save fuel by running fuel map 6, but that's going to be to slow the car down, give us the potential to get to the end of the race without going off the track. This car can be far too quick. with all the power. So there's no shame in running a fuel map. It's all about tactics. We will stop lap 7 or lap 8 possibly and attempt to take on board the fuel we need. Going to try and cut through all the traffic. We're not going to take tyres. That's 4 seconds I don't believe we can spare. Unless the tyres are looking tremendously terrible, of course. With a sideways. We arrive at the back of Mr. Lopez. We've used 2 laps of fuel in 1 lap. That's tremendous. He's gone off to the right, Mr. Mendoza. Into 8th place. Got a right gaggle of 4 here, haven't we? Now this race changes a lot. There's a lot of variation between races. It's very difficult to come across 2 races exactly the same. These guys are looking to pile the pressure on. They're going to go quickly, so we're going to try and go with them. We're not going to save fuel, so we can be faster than they are. 1:07.9. Fastest lap of the race is ours. The Gallo and I have a ferocious competitive battle most of the time. He wasn't going to let me through on the inside there, was he? That was just a slight turning nudge from him. We did well to save that. Fuel use on this car can be so varied. 100% don't trust the fuel gauge. Got to though, but it all depends. This latter part of the circuit is so full throttle that it's going to burn so much more fuel than the first half. There we go, so 3rd place, 7 seconds off the front. We're on to lap 4. Fuel wise, we're seemingly okay. About half a lap down on what we need. We'll chase those leaders down. 8 seconds we really need to gain. Fastest lap of the race is still ours. Into the final corner, which is the trickiest one. A bit of a slide, but we caught it. There's the 2 leaders there. Look, 6.9 seconds ahead. Mr. Miyazato, Mr. Grady. Still that half a lap of fuel down on requirement. Round 5.5. Quite a slow gear change in this car. It's not really rapido fast. There's definitely a delay between hitting the throttle and the clunk of the gear and hitting the gear change button and the clunk of the gear engaging. There's definitely a delay. Seconds down. We've got half a lap of fuel remaining as we 3.5 laps of fuel remaining with 4 laps to go. There's been an off. Guessing that's Mr. Miazano has had a tangle with the dust. Mr. Grady has carried on. What car's Mr. Grady in, one wonders? Normally drives an Audi. He's in the Jaguar. Like the Escudo we're about to, no, it's not, it's the Alpha 155. Grady just cuts around him and goes past. My left front is looking a little bit sad for tyre wear. Definitely half a lap of fuel shy. Mr. Grady is pushing. Fastest lap of the race is now a 1:07.788, which just shows you we can be a little bit quicker than these boys. Nice little setup. The car is okay to drive, quite responsive. It just has that massive amount of turbo lag, which we can actually use to our advantage. I think this is the right car for this sandy desert environment. It matches somewhat of its original usage at the Pikes Peak. Think about pit stop at the end of this next lap. He's in now. Let's go another lap. Let's see if we can do it. Grady only had 13%. We had 17% at this time. So we're pushing on. We've got to see how fast we're going. We can see the rest of the circuit from here. That's absolutely stunning. And I shouldn't be looking at the rest of the circuit. I should be looking at track, shouldn't I? So we're 13 seconds in the lead. We're going to the pits this time round. We're slightly frustrated on the pit entrance. There's Mr. Blazam coming around to lap him, which is a tremendous effort. Here we go. Fuel in. In we go. We're not changing tyres because we've only got 2 laps to do. We're going to take 2.2 laps of fuel. We're away. There's Mr. Grady, so it's all on us to win it now. Mr. Grady has not put the fastest lap of the race in. We'd be another 4 seconds back at this point if we took tyres. And Mr. Hazal goes to the pits. And he got stuck behind there. That's convenient for us. Just have to watch that left front. Could be a problem. That round, the sun is dipping down behind the hills there. You can see we're in shadow now. This track will be cooling off, so grip will be less and tyre wear will also be less, you would anticipate, because of the reduced heat. We're at 75% or more on that front left tyre, which would be a problem. Back behind Mr. Blasen again. overtaken for another time. On to the last lap. 1.5 laps of fuel remaining. 1.4 as we go across the line. 0.6 per second ahead, and he is there behind us. Relatively straightforward stuff. Don't seem to have had to actually push and go and make a phenomenal lap. That lap time came quite naturally, quite easy. I can see him looming in my mirror, so he is pushing. Mr. Lopez, come on. Lopez, I could have gone around the outside, I guess. And there we go. We're going to come across the line 1-2. Two Escudos together, one would anticipate. But be careful of that front left. Here we go. There we go. Escudo number 1, Escudo number 2 coming through the line for the win. Happy days. A one stop gets you the victory. The Pikes Peak Escudo, and there you have it. How we do it. Relatively straightforward. We've lapped a few cars. Fastest lap of the race was ours, 107.788. We lapped from Mr. Solis downwards. Clean race bonus? No, 121,000. A bit of bump and grind, didn't we? And we went off the circuit occasionally. There you have it, folks. That's the 4th tick on your weekly challenges. We'll see you on the next one. All the best. Take care. Goodbye for now.